The warm and busy days of the white little rabbit, fluffy, in the fields on the field covered with dandelions. There was a snow-white little rabbit hopping around. Its name was Rongrong. Rongrong's fur is like crumpled clouds, soft enough to catch dandelion fluff. Her long ears are covered with powder at the tips. When she runs, her tail wags up and down like a little white flower that can jump. Little hedgehog Cookie always says Rongrong is a little angel in the fields. She has a clean appearance and a heart sweeter than nectar. That early morning, a hole broke in the pinecone basket of little squirrel Tao Tao, and the pine cones dropped down with a thump-thump sound. Rongrong quickly stopped, pulled off a ball of soft fluff from her body, and gently wrapped it with a grass stem, mending the hole. Tao Tao, this way the pine cone won't run away. Tao Tao wagged her big tail and said, "Thank you, Rongrong. Your lint is more effective than needle and thread." In the morning, the sun was shining warmly on the fields. While the little bees were buzzing to gather nectar, the rope of the honey pot broke. Rongrong immediately found a tough dogtail grass, wrapped the grass stem with down as a rope, and helped Wang Wang tie the honey pot. She also held the pot up for it. "Sit tight, don't spill it." Buzzing around Rongrong, Sister Rongrong, your hands are even more dexterous than those of a little tailor. At noon, the little girl Duardwo from the neighbor's house came to the fields to pick flowers. Accidentally, she tripped over a small pebble and her knee was rubbed red. Rongrong quickly jumped over and gently rubbed Duardwo's knee with the soft fluff. Then she picked a cool clover and applied it to her. Blow on it, and it won't hurt any more. Duardwo held Rongrong and smiled. "Rongrong, your fur is softer than a small towel, so consider it." In the afternoon, the wind blew the nest of the little sparrow Choo-Choo crooked, and the baby bird chirped in terror inside. Rongrong climbed up the low tree and steadily supported the swaying bird's nest with his body, asking Choo-Choo to quickly bring some dry grass to repair it. When the bird's nest was fixed, Choo-Choo flapped her wings at Rongrong and said, "Thank you, Rongrong. You are more reliable than a small bracket." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the fields a warm orange, and dandelion fluff fluttered in the wind. The friends gathered around Rongrong. Tao Tao brought plump pine cones, Wang Wang offered sweet nectar, and Duardwo brought carrot cookies. Rongrong was munching on a biscuit, her ears drooping over her shoulders, and her snow-white fur was shining in the setting sun. Little hedgehog Cookie said, "Rongrong's white fur is beautiful, and her helpful heart shines even brighter." When the moon rose, Rongrong jumped back to her little nest, which was covered with the soft down she had saved up, feeling warm and cozy. Because of the white little rabbit Rongrong, this dandelion field has become more lively and gentle. Such days are sweeter than carrot cookies and make people feel happier than the snow-white down. The striped road sign of a zebra jumping the acacia trees sway their yellow flowers, and a zebra scurries across the grassland, hopping around. Its black and white stripes are like chocolate smeared with cream. When it runs, the stripes sway into small flags. Its hooves make a rustling sound on the green grass. Even the eagle praises it. Tiao Tiao is the most beautiful guide on the grassland. Woo woo, Tiao Tiao suddenly heard crying. Little antelope Duardwu was huddled beside the bushes, separated from her mother. Tiao Tiao squatted down and let Duardwu lie on his back. Don't be afraid, my stripes can show you the way. When the sun was setting in the west, Tiao Tiao aligned the stripes with the sunlight. The black stripes cast shadows, and the white stripes reflected the light. Forming an arrow pointing to the pond, it knew that the antelope mother must be there. The wind lifted its mane, and each flower clung tightly to the stripes, as if grasping a safety rope. From afar, Mother Antelope was anxiously looking around. Duardwo jumped down and pounced on him, then ran back to rub against Tiao Tiao's legs. Your stripes are more lively than stars. The setting sun dyed the zebra's stripes warm golden, and the wind on the grassland carried the sweet taste of friendship. A warm and fun memory of the little courtyard with the yellow cat Mimi in the small courtyard covered with morning glories. There lies a golden little cat named Mimi. Mimi's fur is like sun-dried ears of wheat, soft to the touch. There is a tuft of white on the tip of her tail. When she runs, it looks like she is dragging a small ball of fluff ball. Her eyes are amber, so bright that they can reflect the roses in the yard. The little owner, Duardwo, always says, Mimi is the little sun of the courtyard. She looks so charming and is even more dedicated to helping out than the little housekeeper. That early morning, the little sparrow chirped and landed on the windowsill, its wings covered with dew and unable to fly. Mimi quickly jumped over, gently rubbed Choo Choo's wings with her warm belly, and then carried it onto the sunniest stone slab. Just dry it in the sun. Shoo Shoo flapped her wings and said, Thank you, Mimi. Your belly is more comfortable than a small heater. In the morning, Duardwo was planting sunflowers in the yard when she accidentally scattered the seeds in the crack of the brick. Mimi immediately used her sharp little claws to scoop out the flower seeds one by one and rubbed the mud off her claws before touching them. Only in this way can the flower seeds sprout well. Duardwo held the flower seeds and smiled. Mimi, your claws are more dexterous than a little spoon. At noon, the neighbor's little hedgehog Cookie came to visit and accidentally pricked its spines into a ball of yarn. Mimi circled Cookie twice, gently biting through the yarn wrapped around the thorn with her teeth. The movement was so light that it didn't hurt at all. Cookie bent over and said, Sister Mimi, you are even more meticulous than the little tailor. In the afternoon, the wind blew Duardwo's bow onto the wall. Duardwo was so anxious that she turned around in circles. Mimi climbed up the wall with a whoosh, wrapped her tail around the bow, and jumped down steadily, placing the bow in Duardwo's palm. Duardwo hugged Mimi and kissed her, saying, My little cat is truly the best little helper. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the small courtyard a warm yellow, and the friends gathered around the roses. Chirp Chirp brought fresh grass seeds, Cookie brought sweet wild fruits, and Duodwo served out Mimi's favorite dried fish. Mimi licked the dried fish, her tail curled into a small circle, and her amber eyes were filled with joy. Duodwo stroked its fur and said, "Mimi's yellow fur is eye-catching, but her helpful heart is even more precious." When the moon rose, Mimi curled up at Duodwo's feet and fell asleep, her dream filled with the fragrance of dried fish. Because of the yellow cat Mimi, this small yard has become more lively and warmer. Such days are sweeter than dried fish and more blissful than golden fur. A warm and busy record of the beach with orange-yellow crab pincers on the shallow sandy beach. There crawled a golden and orange-yellow crab. Its name was Kion Kion. The round body is like a ripe orange, and its two big pincers are like small scissors. It walks sideways with a click-click sound, leaving a string of small footprints behind it. The little conch Yoi always says pincers are the little helpers on the beach. Their pincers are dexterous, and their hearts are warmer than the seawater. That early morning, the little conch was slowly washed ashore by the waves and couldn't find its way home. It was so anxious that it turned around in circles. Qianjian quickly crawled over, gently picked up Yawui with her big pliers and moved towards the seaside. "Don't panic. I'll take you back to the sea." It avoided the sharp shells, bypassed the scalding sand grains, and steadily placed Yoayu in the shallow water area. Yoayu shook its shell and said, "Thank you, Qianchen. Your pliers are more reliable than a small boat." At noon, the newly hatched baby turtle Benben tried to crawl back into the sea, but was stopped by a The pliers immediately used their big pliers to dig sand, filling the sandpit into a gentle path. They also led the way horizontally in front. "Follow me. Climb slowly." Benben slid down the path step by step into the sea and turned back to wave his fin at Qianjian. The setting sun dyes the beach orange-red, leisurely brings fresh seaweed. Clumsy carries shiny shells and shares them with pincers. Holding up the big pliers, Qianjian felt warm in her heart. It turns out that helping others is even more enjoyable than taking a beach bath. The blue fish's little adventure under the blue sea in the shimmering seabed. There swims a shiny little blue fish. Its name is Lan. Its scales are like scattered sapphire, and its tail wags like a piece of blue silk. It swims fast and nimbly. Little seahorse Tiao. Tiao always says Lanlan is a little shooting star on the seabed. It's blue and beautiful, but its heart is warmer. That early morning, the little starfish Xing Xing got its foot entangled by seaweed and was spinning round in place in a panic. Lanlan hurriedly swam over, gently biting through the seaweed with her sharp little mouth, and then pushed Xing Xing forward. "Don't panic. I'll take you to see the coral reefs." The stars stretched out their tentacles and said, "Thank you, Lanlan. Your little mouth is more dexterous than a pair of scissors." In the morning, sunlight filtered through the sea, casting patches of light. Little crab pincers couldn't find the reef hole to go home. Lanlan remembered that Qianshan's home was beside the luminous jellyfish. It immediately swam to the front to lead the way. Its blue figure stood out particularly in the seawater. Follow my scale-like light. We'll be there soon. Following the blue light, Qianshan soon saw the familiar hole. At noon, the little turtle Benben's shell got stuck in a crevice of a rock and wouldn't move at all. Lanlan quickly gathered her friends and pushed the stone together with her body, then gently rubbed her tail against Benbon's shell. Come on, use a little more force. With everyone's help, Benbon finally emerged from the crack in the stone and waved his limbs to express his gratitude. In the evening, the bottom of the sea suddenly darkened, and the little lantern of the little lanternfish Lely stopped lighting. Lanlan had a sudden inspiration and swam to Lele's side. She let her scales face the faint light, reflecting a faint blue light to illuminate the way ahead. Lele said emotionally, Lanlan, your scales are more reliable than my lanterns. When the moon cast its silver glow upon the ocean floor, the friends gathered around the coral reef. Tiao Tiao brought soft seaweed, and Kion presented fresh little shells. Everyone surrounded Lanlan to share the delicious food. Lanlan wagged her blue tail, chewing the flesh in the shell, feeling sweet in her heart. It turns out that the brightest thing at the bottom of the sea is not the scales, but the kind intention of being willing to help others. The little green snake's warm and busy notes in the green bamboo forest in the bamboo grove after the rain. There swam a soft little green snake. Its name was Chinking. Chinking's body is like a silk ribbon, painted with green paint, smooth and slippery. Her eyes are like two black mung beans. She gets up quietly and always likes to curl up on a bamboo branch to bask in the sun. Little Panda Tuan always says Chinking is a little guard of the bamboo forest. She has a lively appearance and a heart as tender as the tip of a bamboo shoot. One early morning, little squirrel Tao Tao was picking pine cones on a bamboo branch when the dead branch under his feet snapped with a click. Chinking just swam past and immediately stretched out her body like a small green rope, firmly hanging between two bamboo branches. Tao Tao, step on me. Tao Tao jumped back to the safe bamboo branch on the soft snake rope, holding a pine cone and shouting, Thank you, Chinking. Your body is stronger than a vine. In the morning, the sun made the bamboo forest warm. The wings of the little ladybugs were stuck by spider webs and fluttered on the bamboo leaves. Chinking hurriedly crawled over and gently picked through the spider silk with her pointed tail, her movements as light as blowing a breath. Dion, Dion, don't panic. I'll help you, Dion. Dion flapped her dry wings and flew around Ching Ching. Sister Ching Ching, your tail is more dexterous than a pair of scissors. At noon, Duodwo, a little girl from the neighbor's house, came to the bamboo forest to dig bamboo shoots. Accidentally, she dropped her hairpin into a crack in a stone. When Chinking saw this, she slowly crawled into the crevice of the stone, rolled her body around the hairpin, and pulled it out bit by bit, gently rubbing against Duadvo's hand. Duadwo held the hairpin and smiled, chinking. You are such a considerate little helper. You are not scary at all. In the afternoon, when little hedgehog Kuki was looking for wild fruits, she was bullied by a big rat and curled up into a ball. Chinking immediately straightened up, slightly raising its neck and making a soft hissing sound. This was its warning signal. The big mouse was so scared that it turned and ran away. Kuki poked his head out and said, "Thank you, Chinking. You are more reliable than big stones." In the evening, dark clouds drifted from the sky. Chinking remembered that the grains of the little ant Guogwo were still drying under the bamboo roots. It swam over quickly, rolled its body into a ring to block the strong wind blowing towards the grain, and then found a few bamboo leaves to cover it. But when the raindrops fell, the grains were dry and crisp, and Guago shook its antennae and kept thanking. The setting sun dyed the bamboo forest a warm green. The friends gathered under the shade of the bamboo. Tao Tao brought plump pine cones, Kuki held sweet wild fruits, and Duodwo brought strawberry-flavored cookies. Chinking was coiled on a stone, her small mouth biting a biscuit, and her eyes narrowed into small slits. The little panda Tuan said, "Chinking's green body is beautiful, but her helpful heart is even more precious." When the moon rose, Chinking coiled around her bamboo cave, listening to the chirping of insects in the bamboo forest. Because of the little green snake Chinking, this small bamboo forest has become more peaceful and lively. Such days are more delicious than tender bamboo shoots and more blissful than the emerald green body. The friendly forest story of the green-haired rabbit on the grassland at the edge of the forest lived a special little rabbit. Its fur was not snow white or grayish-brown like that of its companions, but a tender grass-green color, as if wrapped in a layer of tender spring leaves. Everyone called it Chinking. Chinking's ears are long, with a hint of pink at the tips. Her eyes are like two glistening green grapes. When she jumps, her short tail curls up and down like a small green ball on her head. Mother Rabbit always says, Chinking is the tender bud in the forest, kind and lively. Wherever she goes, she brings joy. That early morning, the little squirrel Guogu panicked on the pine tree. The pine cones it had stored had rolled into the thorn bush, and it dared not reach out to pick them up. Chinking hopped over and asked softly, "Guogu, why are you frowning?" Guogu pointed at the thorn bush and said, "My pinnacone has fallen in. I'm afraid I'll get pricked by the thorns." Chinking had a sudden inspiration. With her long ears, she gently pushed aside the thorns and carefully picked out the pinnacone. Guagu held a pinnacone in her hands and wagged her tail at Chinking, saying, "Thank you, Chinking. Your ears are more dexterous than small tweezers." In the morning, the sun was slowly rising. Little hedgehog Kuki wanted to look for the sweet wild berries. But the path in the forest was winding, and it got lost. When Chinking saw this, she immediately said, "Kuki, I'll take you there. I know the way." It led Kuki through the path filled with wildflowers and helped clear away the weeds blocking the way. Soon it found the bushes overgrown with wild berries. Kooky happily picked up wild berries and hunched over to Chinking, saying, "Thank you, Chinking. Your green down is like a little signpost in the grass. Following you is a sure bet." At noon, the sky was a bit muggy. Little bees buzzed back from gathering nectar, their mouths dry and tongues parched, but they couldn't find clean spring water. Chinking thought of the brook she often visited and quickly said, "Wang Wang, follow me." It ran to the brook with a buzz and folded a small cup out of leaves, scooping up the cool stream water and handing it to Buzz. Buzzing drank from the stream water, flapping its wings and saying, "Thank you, Chinking. You are such a warm-hearted little guide. The stream water quenches your thirst better than nectar." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Chinking thought of the little ants living under the mushroom umbrella. Their homes were easily flooded by rain. Chinking hurried home, dragged a large lotus leaf, and placed it above the ant hole. She also fixed the lotus leaf with small stones. When the raindrops pattered down, the ant captain poked his head out from under the leaves and waved his antennae at Chinking. "Thank you, Chinking. Your lotus leaf umbrella is more effective than a big tent." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the forest orange-red. The friends in the forest gathered under the big pine tree and held a small sharing session for Chinking. The squirrel brought the most fragrant pine cones, the hedgehog shared sweet wild berries, and the bee sent sweet nectar. Chinking sat in the middle. Its green fur shone gently in the setting sun. It said, "I'm the happiest when I help everyone." Mother Rabbit smiled and said, "The green downy fur is not only special, but also conceals warm kindness. This is the most precious thing." When the moon rose, Chinking lay in her little nest, holding the gifts given by her friends, with a smile on her lips. Because of the green-haired rabbit Chinking, this small forest has become warmer and more lively. Such days are more beautiful than sweet wild berries and more eye-catching than tender green down. The underwater adventure of little seahorse Tiao Tiao in the shallow coral sea. There lives a lively little seahorse named Tiao Tiao. Tiao Tiao has a silver-grey body, as if wrapped in a smooth silver film. Her belly is round and her tail is curved like a small hook, which can firmly catch the coral branches. Its eyes are round and round, like two black buttons. When it swims, its body twists and turns, as if dancing a cute dance. Dad Seahorse always says Tiao Tiao is a little explorer at the bottom of the sea. Brave and enthusiastic, she is always welcome wherever she goes. That early morning, the little shrimp Meng Meng was anxiously circling among the seaweed. It wanted to find its mother, but the seaweed was too thick and it got lost. Tiao, hugging the coral branch, swayed over and asked softly, "Meng Meng, why are you crying?" Meng Meng wagged her little tail and said, "I can't find my mum." Tiao Tiao smiled and said, "Don't be afraid, I'll take you to look for it." It let Meng Meng hold its tail and swim along the familiar route, shouting "Shrimp Mom" at the same time. Tiao Tiao's silver-grey body stood out among the seaweed. The shrimp mother quickly found them and nodded at Tiao Tiao, saying, "Thank you, Tiao Tiao. You are such a reliable little guide." In the morning, the sun shone through the sea. Little Conch Lely wanted to climb up to the high coral to enjoy the view, but the coral was too slippery. After climbing several times, she always slipped down. Tiao Tiao saw this and swam over quickly, using her curved tail to hook onto the coral, turning her body into a small seahorse bridge. "Lele, follow me up." Lele slowly climbed up to the top of the coral along Tiao Tiao's body and happily shouted, "Thank you, Tiao Tiao." The scenery here is so beautiful. Your tail is more useful than a small ladder. At noon, the seabed was a bit muggy. Little starfish, Xing Xing, was lying on a rock, looking listless. She wanted to drink some cool seawater but couldn't reach it. Tiao Tiao remembered the nearby Qingliang Trench and quickly said, "Xing Xing, follow me." It carried the stars to the edge of the trench. The water there was cool and refreshing. The stars immersed in it suddenly became energetic and stretched out their 5 little feet. "Thank you, Tiao Tiao. The cool seawater is so comfortable. You are truly my little savior." In the afternoon, the sunlight from the sky filtered through the sea, shining brightly on the seabed. Little crab Zhuanggu Zhuang wanted to carry a beautiful colored stone home, but the stone was too heavy to push. Tiao Tiao saw this and quickly called over her friends beside her to help. "Zhuangguang, don't worry, we'll help you." Tiao Tiao used her body to support the colorful stones, and the little crabs pushed them beside her. Together, they carried the colorful stones to Zhuanggu Shuang's home. Zhuangguang waved his pliers at Tiao Tiao and said, "Thank you, Tiao Tiao. I can't move without you. You are such a warm-hearted person." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the seawater a warm orange red. The underwater friends gathered in the coral garden and held a small sharing session for Tiao Tiao. Shrimp Mum brought fresh aquatic plants. Little Conch Lele shared sweet seaweed juice, and little crab Zhuanggu Zhuang took out the smoothest pebbles. Tiao Tiao swam in the middle, her eyes shining brightly. She said, "Helping and playing together with everyone is the happiest thing." Dad Seahorse smiled and said, "Brave exploration and willing to share. Such jumping is the cutest." When the moon rose, its light shone into the ocean floor. Tiao Tiao hooked on the coral branches, looking at his sleeping friends beside him with a smile on his lips. Because of the little seahorse Tiao Tiao, this small coral sea has become warm and lively. Such days are more refreshing than sweet seaweed juice and more shiny than a silver grey body. The first dive of the little yellow duck by the pond at the entrance of the village lived a little yellow duck called Rong Rong. Its down was as soft as egg yolk cake, and it walked with a wobbly gait. Every morning, she squatted on the big rock by the pond, watching her elder brother and sister plop into the water and shuttle like little speedboats, feeling both envious and nervous. "Rong Rong, come and swim." Brother Gaga flapped his wings, splashing water. Rong Rong shrank back and said, "I'm afraid I'll hurt myself when I fall." ... double quotes, Sister Hua Hua touched her feet and said, "The water is warm, like Mum's feathers." The little frog on the lotus leaf hopped quack quack and said, "The first time I jumped on the lotus leaf, I was scared too. Only after I jumped did I realize that the wind would carry me." Ding Ding the dragonfly on the reed also agreed. "Take the first brave step and you'll find yourself super amazing." Rong Rong looked at the little fish and thought that if she could swim, she could play with it. She took a deep breath, spread her wings and leaned forward, but quickly pulled them back, her heart beating like a drum. "Take your time, I'll catch you." Gaga swam to the stone. Rong Rong closed her eyes and counted 1, 2, 3, then suddenly jumped. Plop! The water wrapped around her and she flailed about in terror. At this moment, Gagaga held her up with his wings and said, "Don't panic, swing your feet like me." Rong Rong imitated, kicking her feet, and her body slowly floated forward. She opened her eyes and saw little fish and water plants. The sunlight shone on the down, making it sparkle. "I can swim now." Rong Rong cheered and splashed water on Tiao Chow and Ding Ding. Jumping Jump jumped into the water to play hide-and-seek, while Ding Ding flew to act as the referee. As the sun set, Rong Rong went ashore with her elder brother and sister. Her mother combed her wet down under the willow tree and said, "My little Rong Rong is so brave." Rong Rong rubbed against her mother, realizing that being brave to try could bring a lot of happiness. From then on, every morning, Rong Rong's figure could be seen in the pond. She and her friends swam, caught insects, and competed. The laughter by the pond became even more lively. The sweet promise of the little bees buzzing. There lived a little bee in the garden, buzzing. She wore a small yellow and black coat. When her wings flapped, they made a soft buzzing sound. Every time she collected honey, she would fill her small honey sacks up and take them home to share with the bee colonies. That early morning, Weng Weng carried the small honey bag to collect honey again. Just as it landed on a sunflower, I saw the little butterfly lily spinning round anxiously. "Buzz, my pollen bag is broken. I can't send pollen to the morning glories. What should I do?" Weng Weng immediately stopped collecting honey and said, "Don't panic. I'll help you." She used her hind legs to pick up sunflower pollen and carefully sent it to the morning glories. She also sewed a pollen bag for Lely. After Lely thanked him repeatedly, Weng Wang continued to gather honey. She flew over rose bushes and lavender fields, and her little honey sack was soon filled with sweet nectar. When passing by the ants' home, she saw them carrying breadcrumbs larger than herself, sweating profusely. Buzzing quickly put down the honey sack, pushed the breadcrumbs to the hole for the ants, and gave them a small spoonful of nectar. "Try this. It replenished your strength." When the sun was about to set, Buzzing went home with a full honey sack. The queen bee tasted the honey she had collected and said with a smile, Weng's honey is the sweetest. I buzzed my antennae and felt sweet in my heart. It turns out that working hard to gather honey is very enjoyable, and helping friends can bring double the sweetness. The Guardian story of Little Cabbage Chinking's vegetable garden in Grandma's vegetable garden. There is a tender little Chinese cabbage, which everyone calls chinking. Its leaves are a bright and tender green, like jade washed by spring rain. Layer upon layer of leaves wraps around each other, and the edges are slightly wavy. When the wind blows, they sway gently, giving off a faint grassy fragrance. Even passing little butterflies like to rest on its leaves. That early morning, Chinking had just absorbed her fill of dewdrops when she suddenly heard a faint buzzing sound. It was the buzzing of a little bee. While gathering nectar, it had accidentally got its wings wet by the rain and landed on the soil of the vegetable garden, unable to fly no matter how hard it tried. Chinking quickly lowered the outermost large leaf gently, like opening a small green umbrella to block the cool morning breeze. It also allows the dewdrops on the leaves to slowly drip to the buzzing side, replenishing its moisture. After a while, its buzzing wings dried up. It shook its antennae at Chinking and picked some nectar from its leaves before happily flying away, as if saying, "Thank you, Chinking." In the morning, the sun was slowly rising. The little ants in the vegetable garden were busy moving their house, but a small pebble blocked their way. The ants were sweating profusely from pushing, but the pebble remained motionless. When Chinking saw this, she quietly moved the root close to the stone to the side and let a leaf gently press against the edge of the stone. Unexpectedly, the force of the leaf, combined with the push of the root, made the stone gradually move away a little, just enough for the ants to pass through smoothly. Captain Ant led everyone to place a sweet sugar grain on the green leaf as a token of gratitude. At noon, the little brother of the neighbor came to play in the vegetable garden. He accidentally fell down and his knee rubbed against the soil. It hurt so much that he almost cried. Grandma quickly helped the little brother to the small stall beside Chinking, picked the most tender leaf of Chinking, washed it with clean spring water, and gently wiped the dirt off the little brother's knee. The little brother touched the soft and green leaves, smelled a faint fragrance, and suddenly didn't feel the pain anymore. He even smiled at Chinking. "The little cabbage is so cute." In the evening, Grandma came to the vegetable garden to water it. Seeing the sugar grains on Chinking's leaves and hearing from the little brother that Chinking had wiped his knees, she smiled and touched Chinking's leaves, saying, "Our Chinking is truly a little treasure in the vegetable garden." Chinking shook her leaves, watching the setting sun stretch her shadow long, feeling warm in her heart. Suddenly, it felt that although it was just a tiny cabbage, unable to run or fly, being able to shield the little bee from the wind and rain, help the little ant move stones, and comfort the little brother was the happiest thing. It turns out that an ordinary little cabbage can also become a little guardian in the vegetable garden with its own tenderness and kindness, bringing warmth to its friends around it. In the vegetable garden at night, the moonlight falls on the green leaves, and even the dewdrops sparkle with a bright light as if applauding for this lovely little cabbage. The heartwarming story of Little Mouse Mimi's granary. Beside the granary on the farm lived a little mouse named Mimi. It has a body covered with light brown soft fur, as if wrapped in a layer of dried wheat bran. Its round black eyes are like two shiny black beans. Its tiny claws are flexible and powerful, and it can even firmly grasp the thinnest wheat straw. At first, the little animals on the farm thought the little mouse would steal food and were a little afraid of it. It wasn't until they found out that Mimi was actually a hearted little butler who always loved to use her own skills to help everyone solve problems that they discovered it. One early morning, Mimi was sorting out the dry straw she had collected in the corner of the granary when suddenly she heard a weak gee-gee sound. It was the chirping of a newly moved little sparrow. It wanted to find some clean wheat grains for breakfast, but the grains were all in high sacks and couldn't be reached at all. It was so anxious that it hopped around on the sacks. Mimi hurried over and climbed up the gap of the sack with her little paws. After finding a small opening, she carefully pulled out each grain of wheat, one by one. She even deliberately picked the plumpest ones, wrapped them in leaves, and handed them to Juju. "Thank you, Mimi." Shushu pecked at the wheat grains, flapped its wings at Mimi, and gave it a soft feather it had found. In the morning, Mimi was taking a walk in the grass outside the granary when she saw the little ant Guago leading a group of friends carrying breadcrumbs. But the breadcrumbs were too big and got stuck in the crevices of the stones. The ants were sweating profusely, but still made no movement. Mimi's eyes lit up. She gently pried away the soil beside the stone with her little paws, and carefully picked out the breadcrumbs with her tail, breaking them into small pieces to make it easier for the ants to carry. Guago shook her antennae at Mimi and led her friends to massage Mimi with their antennae, which made Mimi laugh non-stop. At noon, it suddenly started to drizzle. Mimi noticed that the leaf pit of the little hedgehog Kuki was leaking. Kuki was huddled inside, and all her spines were wet. Mimi hurriedly ran back to the granary, fetched a few pieces of waterproof oiled paper which the farm owner had accidentally dropped, and found some dry straw to help Kuyuki mend the holes in the nest. She also spread a layer of soft feathers in the nest. Kuki lay in the warm nest, rolled around in front of Mimi, and pushed a sweet wild fruit in front of her. In the evening, the rain stopped and the setting sun dyed the granary golden yellow. Mimi was sitting at the door of the granary, surrounded by Juju, Guago, and Kuki. They were sharing wheat grains, breadcrumbs, and wild fruits. Mimi bit into the sweet wild fruit, looking at her friends' smiling faces and swaying her tail gently. Suddenly, she felt that being able to help everyone solve problems was much happier than hiding alone in the granary and eating wheat grains. It turns out that even a tiny mouse can, with its own wit and kindness, become a little sun on the farm, bringing warmth and joy to every friend. Such farm life is sweeter than plump wheat grains and more comfortable than soft feathers. The growth story of the young sapling in the green courtyard in the yard of my grandma's house. There is a small sapling. Everyone calls it green when it was first planted. It was only as tall as the knees, with thin branches and a few tender green leaves on top, like a shy little baby. Every day, it tried hard to absorb the sunlight and rain, hoping to grow taller quickly. Grandma waters it every day and also sets up a small wooden stick beside it, fearing that the wind might blow it over. That early morning, LVLV had just been moistened by the morning dew until its leaves shone when it heard a rustling sound. It was the chirping of a little sparrow that had just flown out of its nest. It wanted to find a safe place to build a new nest, but the big tree in the yard was too tall for it to fly up. Green quickly shook its slender branches and shouted to Shoo Shoo, Shoo Shoo, come to me. Though my branches are thin, they can help you keep out the wind. Shoo Shoo flew around LVLV twice and landed on the thickest branch, picking up dry grass and feathers, and slowly built up a small nest. After setting it up, Juju flapped her wings at LVLV and said, "Thank you, LVLV. Your branches are even more stable than I thought. From now on, this place will be my home." Day by day passed, and LVLV gradually changed its appearance. Its branches grew thicker, reaching as tall as Grandma's waist. Its tender green leaves turned dark green, and many new branches sprouted. When the wind blew, the leaves rustled, as if singing a happy song. In the morning, after Grandma finished washing the clothes, she found that there were enough clotheslines, and there was no place to hang the freshly washed handkerchiefs. When LVLV saw this, she quickly stretched out the smoothest branch in front of her grandma, as if saying, "Grandma, hang it with me." Grandma smiled and tied the small handkerchief to the branch. The handkerchief gently fluttered in the wind, as if she had tied a colorful little scarf for LVLV. Grandma touched the green branch and said, "Green is so sensible. Now you can even help Grandma with the work." At noon, the sun was scorching hot. My neighbor's little brother, Dodo, came to play in the yard. After running for a while, he was sweating profusely and wanted to find a cool place to rest for a while. Green quickly spread out its thick leaves and built a green little pergola for Dodo. "Dodo, come and rest under me for a while. Leaves can block the sun." Dudu ran under LVLV. Sure enough, it was much cooler. She also picked up a small stone that had fallen on the ground and drew a big smiling face at the base of LVLV. "LVLV, your awning is even more comfortable than Grandma's bamboo chair." In the afternoon, a few small green fruits suddenly sprouted on the green branches. They were sweet little crabapple fruits. Little Squirrel Lily jumped down from the courtyard wall. When it saw the fruit, its eyes lit up, but it couldn't reach it, so it had to circle around LVLV. LVLV quickly drooped the fruit-bearing branches and said, "Lily, don't worry. Pick them slowly." Lily stood on tiptoe, picked a fruit, took a bite, and the sweet juice spread in its mouth. It quickly picked two more, put them in its arms, and shook its big tail at LVLV. "Thank you, LVLV. Your fruit is sweeter than the pine cones I found." In the evening, dark clouds suddenly rose from the sky, and it began to drizzle. The little snail that had just been playing in the yard slowly had nowhere to take shelter from the rain, and its shell was all covered with mud and water. LVLV quickly let a large leaf hang down and cover slowly above, as if opening a green umbrella. Slowly hiding under the leaves, slowly stretching out its antennae. It waved at Green Green and said, "Thank you, Green Green. Your leaves are just like little umbrellas. Not a drop of rain can get on me." The setting sun dyed the yard an orange-red. Standing in the center of the yard, LVLV watched her companions. Juju was singing in the nest. Dodo was playing with pebbles under the pergola, and Lely was running away with fruits in her arms, slowly resting under the leaves. Her heart felt warm. Suddenly it felt that from a tiny seedling to one that could provide shade-hang things and bear fruit, it was not only for its own growth, but also to help the little birds build nests, dry handkerchiefs for its grandma, shield Dudu from the sun, and share fruits with Lely. It was much happier than standing alone in the yard. It turns out that a tiny sapling, as long as it grows hard, can become a little guard in the yard, bringing warmth and joy to everyone. When the moon rose, LVLV was still standing quietly. The deep green leaves swayed gently in the moonlight, as if guarding every little life in the yard. The courtyard was quiet, with only the rustling sound of the leaves in the wind. Because of LVLV, this small courtyard became more and more lively and warm. Such days were sweeter than the sweet crabbable fruits and more beautiful than the thick leaves. A heartwarming story of a fluffy little rabbit in the forest. In the carrot field at the edge of the forest lived a little rabbit, and everyone called her Rong Rong. She was covered with snow-white fur, as if wrapped in a layer of freshly fallen snowflakes. Her long ears were tinged with a light pink when she ran. Her ears bounced back and forth. With a gentle push of her hind legs, she could jump far away, and even the wind couldn't catch up with her. The most special thing about her is her little nose. She always loves to sniff around and can find the sweetest carrots in the forest, as well as the little troubles of her friends. That early morning, Rong Rong carried the small bamboo basket woven by her mother and went to the field to pick the freshest carrots for breakfast. Just as I pulled out a carrot still covered with soil, I heard a soft woo cry. It was the little hedgehog Kuki that had just moved to the forest. It wanted to send a wild strawberry to its grandma far away, but it didn't know the way to her house, and was afraid that its spines would prick others, so it didn't dare to ask for directions. Rong Rong quickly put down the carrot, jumped to Kiwi's side, and gently touched its thorn with her nose. She knew which thorn wouldn't hurt people. "Don't be afraid, I'll take you there. I know the way." She walked ahead, helping Kuki push away the small branches blocking the way, and from time to time stopped to wait for Kuki, fearing that it might not keep up. When passing by the stream, Rong Rong found a big lotus leaf, asked Kuki to sit on it, and pushed the leaf across the stream herself. It wasn't long before we arrived at Kui's grandma's home. Kayuki was holding wild strawberries and waved her little paws at Rong Rong, saying, "Thank you, Rong Rong. Your ears are more conspicuous than a small flag. I won't get lost at all following you." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, Rong Rong was jumping around the dandelion bushes when she saw the little squirrel lily squatting on a branch, worried. The cloth bag it used to hold pine cones had a hole, and the pine cones were scattered all over the ground. If they were blown away by the wind, there would be no food to eat in winter. Rong Rong quickly jumped over, used her soft down to catch the scattered pine cones, and handed the small bamboo basket to Lally. "Let S put them in my basket first. Mum said this basket is very sturdy." Lalube put the pine cones into the basket and deliberately picked the biggest one to give to Rong Rong Rong. "This is for you as a snack. Your basket is much more useful than my cloth bag." At noon, the sun was scorching. The little sparrows that had just learned to fly chirped, their wings drooping from the sun. They landed on the grass and couldn't fly, chirping anxiously. But Rong Rong quickly jumped to Juju's side and blocked the sunlight with her big ears, like opening two small white umbrellas. She also took out a dewy carrot from the basket, squeezed out the sweet juice and fed it to Juju to drink. Shushu drank the carrot juice and gradually regained her strength. She flapped her wings at Rong Rong and said, "Thank you, Rong Rong. Your ears are cooler than leaves." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Rong Rong remembered that the little ants Guogo were still carrying breadcrumbs on the distant hillside. She quickly jumped over and called out Zizi. To them she had learned the sound of ants from her mother, reminding them to go home quickly. He also helped the fruit put the breadcrumbs into the small bamboo baskets and sent them back to the ant nest. Guoguo shook its antennae at Rong Rong and put a small piece of breadcrumbs in the basket, as if giving her a small gift. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the forest orange. Dread Rong Rong was sitting in the carrot field, surrounded by Kuki, Lele, and Juju. They were sharing carrots, pine cones, and wild strawberries. Rong Rong bit into the sweet carrot, looking at the smiling faces of her friends. Her ears swayed gently, and her heart felt warm. Suddenly, she felt that running fast was not just for jumping and playing, but also to help everyone deliver things, shield from the sun, and pass on messages. It was much happier than eating carrots alone. It turns out that even a tiny rabbit can, with its own enthusiasm and agility, become a little sun in the forest, bringing warmth and safety to every friend. When the moon rose, Rong Rong was still bouncing along the path by the field, her snow-white fluff gently twinkling in the moonlight like a moving little cotton ball. The forest was quiet, with only the chirping of insects and the soft footsteps of Rong Rong. Because of Rong Rong, this forest became more and more lively and warmer. Such days were sweeter than sweet carrots and more comfortable than soft down. A heartwarming memory of the little turtle slowly walking in the pond. By the pond at the edge of the village lived a little turtle, and everyone called him Mooman. He has a deep green hard shell with irregular patterns on it, as if wearing a strong little armor. His 4 short legs move slowly, and he even speaks softly. He is always laughed at by his friends as walking slower than a snail. But he was not in a hurry at all, because he knew that taking it slow could help him discover more beauty and also quietly solve small troubles for everyone. One early morning, I was slowly carrying my shell on my back on the grass by the pond, looking for tender grass to eat. Suddenly, I heard a soft cry of Gigi. It was the little sparrow Shoo Shoo that had just learned to fly. It had accidentally fallen off a branch. Its wings were a bit sore and it couldn't fly back. It was also afraid of being discovered by a passing kitten. Slowly and quickly crawl over, gently lift the hard shell a little, and say to Juju, "Hide in my shell, quickly. It's safe here." Shoo Shoo burrowed into its shell. Warm and soft, the shell was lined with slowly picked dry grass, not afraid at all. After the cat left, slowly climbed to the big tree and let Shoo Shoo climb up the branch along his shell. Shoo Shoo flew into the bird's nest and flapped her wings at Mungman, saying, "Thank you, Mungman. Your shell is safer than a tree hole. Even though you walk slowly, you are really reliable." In the morning, the sun was slowly rising. Little Aunt Guago and her friends were carrying breadcrumbs. When they passed by a small puddle, they were at a loss. The puddle was too wide for the ants to jump over, and they would have to take a detour for a long time. After seeing it slowly, he quickly climbed over and gently placed his shell at both ends of the puddle, like building a small stone bridge. "You all go over my shell. Walk slowly and don't be in a hurry." The fruit lined up and walked steadily over the shell, leaving a small crumb of bread on it slowly. "Thank you, Mungmang. Your stone bridge is even more stable than leaves. It doesn't matter if it's a bit slow. We'll be waiting for you." At noon, dark clouds suddenly rose from the sky and it began to drizzle. The little crab Kyunjian, which had just been playing by the pond, had a shell that was too small to keep out the rain, so it had to huddle in a crevice of a stone and tremble. Slowly and quickly crawled over, using his big shell to block the top of the crevice of the stone, like opening a green umbrella. "Jianshan, hide under me. The rain won't get you wet." Kyunjin emerged from the crack and hid under Mungmung's shell. She also shared the small snails she had found with Mungmung. "Thank you, Mungmung. Your shell is bigger than mine. It's so warm to hide here." In the afternoon, while swimming slowly in the pond, I found that the little carp Lele was lost. Lele came out to play with its mother and accidentally got lost. It was pacing around in the pond, so anxious that it kept blowing bubbles. Mungman wasn't in a hurry at all. While swimming slowly with Lele, he helped it look for its mother's figure. Mungman remembered that there was a red fish scale on Lele's mother's body. After swimming for quite a while, I finally found Lele's mother by the lotus flower bed. Lele threw herself into her mother's arms and turned around, wagging her tail at Mungmung. "Thank you, Mungmung. Although you swam slowly, you helped me find my mum. It was even more effective than being a little faster." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the pond orange red, slowly lying on the stone by the pond, basking in the warm sun, surrounded by Shu Shu, Guo Guo, Jian, Kion, and Lala. They shared tender grass, snails, and breadcrumbs. Chewing the tender grass slowly, looking at the smiling faces of my friends, with a few small petals still adhering to the shells, my heart felt warm. He suddenly felt that there was nothing wrong with walking a little slower. Walking a little slower allowed him to listen carefully to the chirping cries, to build the stone bridge steadily, and to patiently help Lely find his mother. It was much better than running over in a hurry and being of no help at all. It turns out that a little turtle that walks slowly can also become a little guardian by the pond with its own patience and gentleness, bringing safety and happiness to every friend. When the moon rose, it slowly crawled on the stone, its deep green shell gently twinkling in the moonlight like a moving little jade. The pond is quiet, with only the chirping of insects and the sound of flowing water. Because of this, the pond has become warmer and warmer, and more reassuring. Such days are sweeter than tender grass and more solid than hard shells. 医生翻译结果来自有道神经网络翻译 YNMT 通用场景主句对照 A。